to my Carolina homestead. My name is Michelle if you're new, and today I'm working on a big food preservation project. Today I am going to try to free up some room in my freezer and in my refrigerator, and so I pulled out about 56 blocks of cheese, and today I'm going to show you how to wax cheese. And the reason for waxing cheese is because once you have done that, you can store your blocks of cheese in a pantry, in a basement, somewhere that's relatively cool, and that will free up some refrigerator and freezer space. So if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. Okay, so I am coming into my living room where I have laid out all of my cheese, and these cheese blocks have been laying out for about 4 or 5 days. I'm sorry, I'm in my dining room. And what I did was I put them on clean towels and then covered them up with cheesecloth. And I've got little labels here so I know what cheeses are what. And they're starting to dry out just a little bit. And I'm just going to check to see if any of these have any mold growing on them. So what I'm looking for is any of this white buildup that's starting to grow on here. And some of these do have that, so I'm going to take a second to use a brining solution with 1 cup of cool water and 1 teaspoon of salt. I used sea salt, and I'm going to wash these up and line these up in my kitchen and set these out to dry. Full drying time will take about 1 hour to 2 hours depending on the climate in your home. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and I'll bring you guys back when that is all finished. Okay, so now here I have my cup of water and my teaspoon of salt that has been dissolved, and I have my cleaning cloth soaking in here. It's just a clean microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to wring this out. And I'm doing these by type, so I'm just going to wipe this off and make sure none of that mold is still on here. I'm going to set these to the side as I go. So while my cheese is still in there drying from the salt brine wipe down that I just gave them to take off any mold and also to prevent any bacteria growing on them after they've been waxed, I have here a 5-pound block of cheese wax, and what I'm going to do is get this cut up and put into this pot, and when that's finished I'll be back. I'm not going to use all of this, so I'll probably cut down about half of this to start, so I'll be back when that's ready to go. Okay, so I've got a portion of my wax cut up, and I am heating this directly into the pot, and this is called the high heat method. So I have this on number 3. I'm using my Cadco burner here, and I'm going to finish chopping this up. So I've used probably about 1/3 of my wax block, and so you want to cut this very carefully. This takes a little bit of time. And don't worry, you do want to use a sharp knife, but you can clean this knife with any type of solvent. You can use turpentine and then wash your knife thoroughly. So I'm just breaking this up into 2 more pieces. And the wax is starting to melt now, so I'm just going to keep moving that around to let this melt down. And like I said, I'm using the high heat method. The pros of using the high heat method is it's going to kill the mold spores on the surface of the cheese, so we don't really have to worry about mold growing. But one of the cons is that the temperature of the cheese has to be significantly controlled. So we have to be very safety conscious and very safety minded. And make sure that we're keeping this wax between 224 degrees and 236 degrees. So it's melting down pretty quickly, so I'm going to turn it down. The reason we have to keep the wax at that temperature of 224 to 236 is because if this reaches its flash point, if this wax reaches the flash point, it's incredibly flammable. And this cannot be put out with water. So I've got this burner down. I've turned it down to 2 now because this wax is melting really quickly. And so I'm going to be using a dip method with this. So I'll take it off here so you can see that it's melting really well. So I've got this on low. I've turned my burner down to 2. And now I'm just going to add my other block and let that incorporate. And then when I can fit this on the bottom, the surface of the pan, then I'll add that. And I'll be back to show you what we do next. Okay, so now I'm going to just take my thermometer here and I'm going to test the temperature of my wax. I'm trying to get this to 224. Now once you get your temperature to 224, you want to test it frequently to make sure that you do not go over the 236 mark. Because once this reaches its temperature, it will quickly climb in temperature. You want to adjust your knob on your stove to keep it as low as possible. So we want to keep that temperature from 224 to 236. And this is the high heat method of cheese waxing to prevent mold growth and mold spores underneath our wax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come up. Let it drip. Turn it on the unwaxed side, and I'm going to continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stand it up. Let it drip. Okay, so this side has dried completely, so I'm going to go with what the one I started with. I'm going to pick this up with my tongs. Now remember to test your temperature regularly. I'm going to flip this over and drop this in on the unwaxed side. Remember, we're going to count for 6 seconds on this dip, and then I'll set it over to dry, and I'm going to repeat this process with the rest of my cheese. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to lift this up, let the wax stop dripping, and then I'm going to turn it over on the dry side, like this. I'm going to show you one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pick that up. Let the wax stop dripping. And then I'm going to put it down on the dry side, like that. Okay, I'm going to repeat this process for the rest of these, and then I'll bring you back because we're going to have to do 2 coats. So it's best to do 2 thin coats to ensure that this is completely covered and air can't get to it. So I will be right back after I finish the rest of these blocks. Okay, I just tested my temperature again, and now it is time to go with coat number 2. I'm going to pick this up and put this down in halfway for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to inspect it to see if I see any holes. And I got a little hole right there. I'm just going to fill that in and let this wax cool. And I'm going to put it down on the opposite side. So remember, 2 thin coats is better than 1 thick coat. So that's what we're doing here. And repeating the first process by leaving these in for 6 seconds. The cheese blocks have all been waxed with 2 coats, and I have left them out on my dining room table overnight. And then I've written on them with a Sharpie what kind of cheese they are. Now I'm just packaging them up for storage. So I have a piece of wax paper underneath each layer, and then I've cut little slips of wax paper to put in between each block so that the wax doesn't stick to each other. Keep your cheese stored in a cool, dark area, and this cheese will last you for years. If you're interested in waxing cheese yourself, I will leave a link in the description box of the cheese wax that I purchased and where you can get that. Thank you for stopping by my Carolina homestead today and spending some time with me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell for more videos coming soon. See you next time, and take care.